If you work in a research lab or core facility that processes a high volume of immunohistochemistry assays, you're probably thinking about how to transfer antibodies and protocols from a manual IHC to Autostainer setting. Today I'm joined by Chris Grange from Cell Signaling Technologies Immunohistochemistry Group, and we're going to get into what this assay transfer involves in terms of antibody optimization and protocol changes. So Chris, can you tell us a little bit about your work on IHC validation and your experience taking CST antibodies into the Autostainer protocol?
Sure. My focus is on validating CST antibodies in automated protocols. Not only that, I also work on answering technical support questions from customers who have questions about transferring CST antibodies from the manual IHC setting to the automated platform.
Great. So in your tech support capacity, what are some of the typical questions that scientists have about taking antibodies into the Autostainer?
Most questions are related to protocol optimization. We also get questions about antibody dilution and what ancillary reagents customers should be using.
So in general, what antibodies can you use on an Autostainer?
If we recommend a CST antibody for use in the manual IHC assay, then there's a very good chance that it can be transferred to an automated setting. I would say in general, if you're looking for an antibody to use on an Autostainer, the most important thing to focus on would be a rigorous validation. And that would include images of staining on tissue and also the use of appropriate controls.
And we also recommend that for manual IHC to look for that same validation data.
Yes, absolutely.
So when you're starting your Autostainer experiment, can you use the same protocol or does it need to change?
Well, because manufacturers of the Autostainers require the use of proprietary reagents, you will have to do some further optimization and make some changes from our manual recommendations.
So in your work validating for the Autostainer, which particular Autostainer platform are you using, and where can customers go to find that validation information?
We're validating CST antibodies on the LikeaBond RX, and customers can go to the CST website and browse a list of antibodies that we have optimized on the bond. And from there, you can click on specific product pages to see the reagents and the protocol settings that we recommend.
Great, so we're going to provide that listing in the description text below this video, so make sure you check that out. And so as you're working on validating more CST antibodies, we can expect that listing to grow?
Yes, absolutely. I recommend customers continue to check back to the CST website to see which new products have been validated on the bond.
Great. So let's say I have an antibody that's from that listing and I have access to a LikeaBond in my lab. Is it pretty much plug and play?
Yeah, all you have to do is program our recommended LikeaBond protocol into your bond software and then perform a small titration around our recommended antibody dilution in order to ensure that everything is working appropriately.
So what if I'm going to perform assay transfer onto a different Autostainer platform? What do you recommend?
That would require some further optimization in your laboratory. But I would recommend contacting CST technical support as we may have some suggestions for optimization.
So what if I'm going to use an antibody that has been validated for manual IHC but hasn't yet received Autostainer validation, and I'm going to use it on the LikeaBond system? What do I need to do in terms of optimization before I start collecting data?
As a starting point, I would recommend attempting staining with our CST base LikeaBond protocol.
And so once I'm looking through that base protocol, looking at the steps to optimize, how do I prioritize which one to do first?
The most important considerations would be the primary antibody dilution and the diluent used for that dilution, and also the antigen retrieval conditions.
Okay. And what do you recommend for antibody titration, how to proceed with that?
So we found that when using this base LikeaBond protocol, the optimal primary antibody dilution is generally relatively close to what we recommend in the manual IHC assay. So I would recommend performing a titration around our recommended manual dilution.
So what do you recommend if all of the titration points have weak signaling compared to what you expect from manual IHC?
Well, aside from extending the titration series, you could consider increasing the primary antibody incubation time or increasing the antigen retrieval time.
And what about the opposite problem where you have elevated background?
Well, again, you could extend the titration series, or you could shorten the primary incubation time, or possibly switch to the citrate-based antibody antigen retrieval buffer.
Okay, and what if I've gone through all the optimization I can, and I'm running into a brick wall and I can't get the signal I want? What should I do?
At that point, I would say don't hesitate to contact CST technical support. You'll be able to speak to a scientist such as myself who can help walk you through all the steps of protocol development.
That's really helpful. So you can reach one of our scientists at cellsignal.com/support. We'll include that link along with our listing of Lycobond validated antibodies and the base protocol below this video. While you're there, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons to get more videos related to research topics, and share it with your colleagues. Thank you so much for your insight, Chris. Any final thoughts?
We at CST want to make your transition to automated IHC as easy as possible so that you can generate publication quality data and accelerate your research.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.